Tuesday edition of the Portfolio Review, and we have a lot to cover. We have the Dawg Bowl, we have Week 14 DFS, Battle Royales, we have the table set for the best ball playoffs, the season-long playoffs. Let's buckle up here for the next couple of hours and set the table for Week 15. I'm Pete Overzet. This is the Portfolio Review. Let's do it.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atropic chokitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go. Let's go.
I got auto matched with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way in that 66, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust out AP, close 5 bullets in your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
Hey everyone, indeed. How are we doing this morning? GM. Look at David. 5 gifted memberships like clockwork. Also flexing in the chat over the weekend that he ran 2 marathons in one day. Do we believe this guy? Unbelievable. What is up, JGFC? Josh. Got to meet Josh this weekend. What's up, Ash? Yosh, members of the Team of Destiny from the Bash. What's up, Deuce, Rise, Danny, Thomas, Steven, Chad, Candles. Got to hang out with Chad a bunch this weekend. Oh man, guys, I am down bad. Just like running my body into the ground over the weekend. And then my big thing is I'm going to Vegas tomorrow morning. I have a 7 a.m. flight to Vegas. It's been a whirlwind of a past few days. Got home yesterday afternoon. It was April's birthday. We had fun celebrating that. I have today to do like 4 shows, write a newsletter, write an article, and then turn around and head to Vegas. I got invited to play in the World Poker Tour Prime event. So I'll be playing in that tomorrow, $1,100 buy-in. And I can give you guys some chip stack updates if you would like that. And then things will get back to normal eventually. So yeah, my schedule for the rest of the week is going to be a little touch and go. There's no shows Wednesday as usual. And then Thursday, we will see. Probably not going to have shows Thursdays, depend on how things go. And then Friday, I'll either be doing shows remotely or flying back home. So I will keep you guys posted on that. But this has been a whirlwind few days here. Sam saying I'm looking rough too. Yeah, I mean, here, I will say this. Normally I shower before the show. I got my workout in, which I was not going to skip after, treating my body like shit for a few days. But yes, I'm sorry. I'm not as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for you. I did slightly get my voice back. I had basically no voice yesterday, so that feels good. So this is what we're going to do. I mean, usual format for the show. We're going to run through all of the action, and we'll have to spend some extended time on the best ball stuff, check in on those sweats. We got some stuff to show from season long, Guillotine League, Splash, just so much to do, so little time, and there's only one way to get me ready for everything we need to cover today, and that's with a coffee pour. All right, there is some coffee here. Let's see. Let's start on DraftKings. As usual, that's just kind of the typical structure of the show. I only played one team on DraftKings this weekend. Obviously was in underdog mode. I knew I was not going to have a lot of time to be messing with the Sims and fiddling with some stuff. I felt good about some of the angles we discussed on the cram, but was not going to get out over my skis with volume on a slate where I was distracted. I actually ended up swapping. And this is probably the funniest thing about this is I don't think I've swapped, which is a massive leak in my game, obviously. I don't think I've swapped a tournament team once this year. I ended up swapping on this one because I had some duds early, and I had actually been messing around with some other stack combinations. So I ended up swapping to a Bo Nix stack. This initially started as a Jacoby Brissett stack. So I'll list off the final team here. The spoiler alert is it's Snowflake City and did jack shit. 110.38 points. The core pieces here were RJ Harvey, who comes in at 21.2%, Ken Walker, 11.9%, Pat Bryant. Now I'm not remembering some of these swaps. You know what I need to do? One of the teams I preserve. So let me actually just do this. This will be easier. I can show you guys the original team. Who knows if anyone cares, but let's just do this. I think in the blind side, I left the original team and then swapped it in the spy. Yeah, so the original team was a Jacoby Brissett to Michael Wilson and Trey McBride double stack. Did not have a Puka bring back, unfortunately. The other core pieces, RJ Harvey, Ken Walker, Emeka Egbuka, Zay Flowers, Colston Loveland, and Browns defense. I did like that lineup. I lock buttoned a few of the plays I highlighted on the cram that I really wanted to play. Obviously, Zay Flowers, Egbuka, Ken Walker, those were some of my favorites. Zay Flowers ended up being nice, 4% owned, goes for 23.6 points, but Egbuka flops at 6,300. He had a bad drop there and is just not playing well right now. And then Ken Walker, really, really disappointing game for him. Back-to-back weeks where if you showed me the score for the Seahawks game, you'd be like, yeah, give me Ken Walker. No, not the case. RJ Harvey scores 22 points at 20.9% ownership. That's obviously fine. Michael Wilson, how does this guy keep getting away with this, man? 57% owned and drops a 40 ball. Just unfucking believable what this guy's doing right now. Colston Loveland in the flex there, 12.9 points. That's fine at 3,200. And then paying up for the Browns D as chalk and getting only 2 points. That is a huge L there. So once I knew I was pretty behind here, I knew Michael Wilson was going to be extremely popular. And I was like, all right, I'd messed around with some other stacks. I did like the Bo Nix stuff. So I said, hey, let's swap this to Bo Nix, Pat Bryant, and RJ Harvey with a Brock Bowers bring back. And obviously no McBride, no Michael Wilson. And then I, in the flex, got in Kyron Williams, who I thought would be kind of a good leverage piece off of the Puka chalk. But it does not matter because Michael Wilson goes nuts. Puka goes nuts. So I'm not going to spend too much time on DraftKings today because I did not spend too much time on it. And we got absolutely dusted. Shout out to RX Bandit here, though. Pulled away with it in the spy. I did take a peek at this lineup. Really liked the construction of this team. It was just a Stafford to Puka with a Michael Wilson bring back. And we had kind of talked about this too, about how the premium doubles with Matthew Stafford are just really hard to get there right now with how kind of binary things have been in the red zone. It really has been, Adams is getting the touchdowns and Puka doesn't meet expectation or vice versa. So I like this skinny stack here of Stafford to Puka with the Wilson bring back. Eat some chalk at running back with Harvey and Bucky Irving. Christian Watson at 14.2% was an awesome play. Really nice pivot off of like the 80 Mitchell chalk. And they actually got like a double whammy off the 80 Mitchell chalk because they played Mason Taylor at 3,300, 2.9%, 10.10. And then, of course, the guy you need, our duck-footed king, Harold Fannin Jr., 3.9%, drops 28.4. And what's so crazy about this, we were watching this at the event on Sunday, that touchdown that David Njoku caught, Harold Fannin was wide open. Shadur threw it into double coverage in the back of the end zone to Njoku, and Fannin was just waving his hands wide open. So he could have legitimately had 36, 37 points in this game, but still a nuke spot for a 3,700 tight end. And then the Broncos D ended up being the one you needed to pay up for at 3,900. They come in lower owned than the Browns, and they score 11 points there. So definitely one of those weeks you either needed Josh Allen, right? Do we have any Josh Allen teams up here? Oh, there's a Lamar team to Flowers with the Metcalf bring back. I guess that was another avenue there. And here in third place, you see the Josh Allen team. This is actually a pretty sharp Josh Allen squad. Josh Allen to with James Cook and Dawson Knox. So you pivot off of the Dalton Kincaid, who was ruled in at the last minute, but still kind of played second fiddle to Dawson Knox there, at least in the box score. Appreciate you guys, Bindles, with the gifted membership here. And holy cow, Purple Yosh, happy birthday to April. And please survive this week. The Bash team needs you. Yeah, I should be okay. I should be okay. But we are pounding fluids today. And we're going to make sure we are ready to go. Let's see here. What else do we got in the chat here? Speaking of Snowflake City, did you enjoy the beautiful weather of my home state this weekend? Honestly, Captain James, I didn't mind it. I was really worried it was going to be closer to what it is here in Boston right now, which is 20 degrees. But the 40 degrees there, I walked to the venue on Sunday. And yeah, I wouldn't say like Kansas City is my favorite city in the world, but I enjoyed my time there. Got to go to the game at Arrowhead on Sunday night. Actually, I apologize, Geha Stadium. And that was a fun time drinking in the, the crocodile tears of all of the Chiefs fans. Had a blast. And yeah, no, I enjoyed my time at Kansas City. Underdog, first class event hosting there. Great venues, great hotel. Everything was top notch. Getting to do the drafts at Kauffman Stadium was super cool. We got to go down to the bullpen there and get on the field for a second. So yeah, everything was great. And yes, this is, so for people who are watching this stream who aren't YouTube members, all I will say is something happened on the Cram stream on Sunday. I am not even going to say what happened. All I'll say is it involved Dylan Sampson. If you want to know what happened on that stream, you have to become a YouTube member. But let's just say all of us had a shocking moment that took all of us off guard, and we really had to push through it to get through the rest of the show. But just very fortunate that that wasn't a public stream. I don't know if my channel would still be up right now. I think it would have received a strike. So thank you to all of the YouTube members who pushed through that traumatic event with me on Sunday. And we're going to leave that in Kansas City. What happens in Kansas City, Cram streams, stays in Kansas City. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right. Like I said, I think I'm good on DraftKings. I don't have too much to discuss. Didn't play a ton this week. We'll get back at it in future weeks. Let me get a full window share here so we can move on. And we can talk a little bit more about the Dawg Bowl as we head over to Underdog here. Let's see. All right. There we go. Goodbye, DraftKings. Welcome back, Underdog. Let's head over. And actually, I'm not going to be able to see the I can go to the Dawg Bowl go to the Dawg Bowl leaderboard here. I'm going to have to scroll down. I know I tweeted that out at some point on Sunday. So we can pull this up. Here we go. And we can look at some of these teams. Shout out, of course, to our champ, Cognition 10. I actually bumped into Cognition right before. I don't know if it was one of the nights. It was before the draft. And he told me he was going to get a double tight end for the people. For people who aren't familiar with Cognition, he is kind of an infamous drafter on Underdog, does some unconventional things, including lots of double tight end lineups. He takes it down and had one of the more unconventional picks in the contest. Last round, Blake Corum ended up being one of two Blake Corum shares. Corum goes for 25.6 points as your last pick, just a total smash. The rest of this team, Josh Allen, Blake Corum, Michael Pittman Jr., Zay Flowers, Brenton Strange, RJ Harvey. And the thing that was I kept thinking about with this team, it scored 115.64 points. It could have scored 130 because Michael Pittman Jr. had that touchdown called back. Probably the softest, most absurd offensive PI call I'd ever seen. Everyone's, celebrating the Michael Pittman Jr. They throw the flag. You're watching the replay back. They barely even touched each other. It was some of the most normal kind of like hand fighting that you see between a wide receiver and a defensive back. So yeah, that should have been another, 7-8 points for him there. And then Brenton Strange had a touchdown called back. And I don't remember if that flag was more warranted or not. But I mean, that alone right there is 15, 16 points that this team could have had. And it still runs away with first place. I guess I shouldn't say runs away. They clear Ingle X, who I also got to meet, a longtime ship chaser there. Comes in second, 114.34. Had the Josh Allen team as well, 37.84 points. Stacked him up with Shakir, who catches that touchdown, and had one of the better selections on the day. That Travis Etienne, 20.7 points was huge. And then survives, only 5.8 from Jawan Johnson, 9.7 from DeAndre Swift. It shows just how massive that Josh Allen score separating from the rest of the quarterbacks is. 17 more points than Jacoby Brissett, 14 more points than Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold. So really hard to win without Josh Allen on this slate. And of course, Michael Wilson. That was the other one on this team, 31.7 points. So in a 108-person contest, it definitely ends up being way more about having a couple of the had-to-have-it scores than, having high scores across your entire lineup. And they basically win this or get second in this tournament because of Josh Allen, Michael Wilson, and Travis Etienne. And then coming in third place was Awin, who did have the max amount of seats. He had 9 drafts. He was in all 9 of the drafts. And on this one, he also had a nice scroll here. Kenny Gainwell, I believe the only team with Kenny Gainwell here. Let me just Control F and see if that is the case. Yeah, only Kenneth Gainwell team. It's a Jacoby to Michael Wilson stack with the Puka bringback. So just like we saw on DraftKings there, very logical game stack and bringback. He has Chris Olave, who has been his favorite player if you've been looking at his teams across the Dawg Bowls this year. And also Kyle Pitts. He had a couple of Kyle Pitts shares, was very high on the Kyle Pitts projection, even had him as part of a 2 tight end team there. So the Kyle Pitts projection was popping this week and delivered a win, a 3rd and a 6th place finish. Kyle Pitts, Michael Wilson, Jacoby Brissett on both of these teams here. Shout out to Awin on a awesome run on the Dawg app, and a lot of other friends and family up here at the top of the leaderboard. I was on the same flight as Inthreus, so was rooting for him after getting to touch base with him and his buddy a good bit. I got to meet Brosonosaurus Flex, one of the best players on DraftKings, who now unfortunately is in the draft games with us. He had the sicko scroll of the tournament. I mean, Blake Corum was a nice scroll. Kenny Gainwell was a nice scroll. Tony Pollard was a next level scroll, 28.1 points. And what was craziest to me about the Tony Pollard selection wasn't necessarily the selection in a vacuum. Starting running back in the last round, I think there's always going to be some merit to that. It was the fact that he paired him with Quinshon Judkins, which I know typically it doesn't really matter if you're playing on Underdog, if you're playing on DraftKings. 2 running backs who don't catch a ton of passes in the same game is something we just kind of mentally X out. But whatever him and his clankers were doing, they liked the running back correlation in that game. And it certainly paid off there. 37 combined points from Judkins and Pollard. Really nice love to Watson stack. Really could have shipped this tournament because Trey McBride had a near miss in the red zone. Cortland Sutton only 9.2 points. And Quinshon Judkins got a few of those Wildcat snaps at the goal line and didn't score. So it was great meeting Bro there and had a very strong finish. And of course, the people's favorite, Chad Candles down here in both 12th and 14th place. I'm sure he already recapped his squads on his morning stream today. So make sure you guys check that out if you missed it. But 2 really nice teams here. He went all in, rightfully so, on that Bills and Bengals game. Had one team that was a Burrow to Higgins with a Dalton Kincaid bring back. Also had Chase Brown on it. Just really nice there. And then also had a Josh Allen team that was a naked Josh Allen. Basically just needed to combine these 2 teams, swap out Burrow for Josh Allen, and then you're really cooking there. Also, Bijan Robinson kind of selling him out, only 8.4 points there. But really, really good showing from Chad Candles to get 2 in the top 14 there. I believe the only other qualifier along with Awin to have 2 in the top 15, if I'm reading this correctly. So shout out to everybody in the Dawg Bowl. Really fun meeting everybody, sweating these out. So many good players on the site. Incredibly competitive contest, and another awesome edition, I would say. Speaking of Dawg Bowl Qs, here's Josta coming in. Finishes in 8th place, gifting the Membies. Thank you, Josta. $25,000 with a Tyler Shuck team. A Tyler Shuck double to Devin Neal and Chris Olave. Utica touted it on the Thursday Bully the Sim show, obviously for DraftKings, but Josta gets it done there. Also has, of course, Puka, Brock Bowers, and Jalen Warren there. Chris Olave felt like he was close to a bigger game as well, running a little bad there to only get 4.5 points. But congrats, Josta. $25K there to you. Well deserved. We also have Captain James in the chat. Captain James, what did you end up getting in the Pick'em contest? Was it second or did you get first? I can't remember, but the Pick'em guys, we need to show them a little bit more love. We need the live leaderboard for them next week. It was a little bit of a black box, or next year, I should say. But it was great meeting both of the Pick'em finalists there. I actually didn't meet the third. unfortunately. But yeah, that was a fun subplot to this year's Dawg Bowl. And I appreciate all you guys who enjoyed the streams. And we ramped it up because traditionally in years past, we do the Friday night stream. And then we hadn't been streaming the drafts. And then we hadn't really done a Sunday sweat show either. And this year we were having so much fun doing it. And shout out to Luke and the production team there at Underdog with the cameras and the mics helping us get set up, and in the DraftKings team as well. Like the whole reason the streaming the drafts comes together is because Hope's willing to like log in on her computer, get the admin draft account shared, toggling it back and forth throughout the entire afternoon. I'm sure she had other stuff to do, but helping us get those drafts streamed there. And I know the audio was touch and go at times, but we made the best of it. And it seemed like people enjoyed getting to follow along at home. So hopefully something we continue to improve on and build on going forward, because I love getting to share that with everybody at home. Johnny, chop first in the Battle Royale. Were you the one who tagged me on Twitter, or were you one of the people who chopped it? We will get to the main BR here in just a hot second. I'm just trying to catch up on the chat here real quick. Trevor enjoyed the coverage all weekend. Did anybody get on Fannin? Yeah, there are a lot of Fannin teams. 7 of them. 7 of them. League of Items had the best Fannin team there in 7th place. I see League of Items here in the chat. Trevor Lawrence, Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Jalen Waddle, Harold Fannin, James Cook. Nice little 20 points there from Trevor Lawrence, but James Cook kind of disappoints there from the early pot of the board, as does Kenneth Walker, man. This guy, Kenneth Walker, really sold us out. Josta says, appreciate your small field article in the DFS Masterclass. Pete, onslaught New Orleans passing turning into a New Orleans rushing team. Yeah, there you go. You love to hear it. Okay, Captain James got 3rd. Rough run out there. The 3rd guy that actually won wasn't there. That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought he wasn't there. Would have been nice to have the winner there in person, but great run, Captain James. And I know you guys were able to work out a little favorable payout structure there for all 3 of you. So I know you were able to come home with a little extra money, which is always nice. So yeah, I'm going to call that a wrap on the Dawg Bowl. Shout out again to Cognition. I'll have to get him on a show one of these days. We'll see if he would do an interview there. It's always like hard. You know, I appreciate Chad coming on during the stream. I'm the same way. Like, even though I do stream the sweat shows, I don't actually want to be on camera, you know, when you have a legit sweat with hundreds of thousands on the line. So appreciate Chad doing that. You know, there's this element of just like kind of dying inside, you know, while trying to be on camera, while also sweating what's happening there. So it's a tough ask to be like, hey, come over and sit underneath the lights here with us while your chances to win, you know, swing wildly in one direction or the other. So appreciate Chad giving us some of his time there on Sunday. Do I hate the ship gas? Artillery Frost, I said if I had a sweat. I have not had a sweat all year, so it hasn't been an issue. But yes, if I were in first place on the BR during a ship cast where I was getting hunted down, I would be absolutely miserable inside. Absolutely miserable. All right, let's head over to the BR here. I did get in my drafts this week. None of them turned into anything special. I believe our first 3-way chop in the BR that I can remember. I know we've had a couple chops previously. I don't know if we've had a chop yet this year, much less a 3-way chop. But when you guys see the team, you will certainly kind of understand why this happened. 721, JT, and Bean Baby all scored 157.04. It ended up being a 3 wide receiver week. I did not have many 3 wide receiver teams. I always like checking in on the Nerdytenor Sims over there at the in-game syndicate. I believe he had at 92% optimal 2 running back builds, 6%, 7% with the 3 wide receiver builds. One of those gets home this week. It was a Josh Allen to Dalton Kincaid stack with a T. Higgins bring back, a Puka, Nacua, and Michael Wilson mini correlation, and then a scroll down to RJ Harvey at 45%. So this is like the reason it's duped multiple times is because it's a very logical lineup. It's heavily correlated with a game stack and a secondary mini stack. And then on top of it, almost all of the pieces were selected right around ADP. So you can see here, Josh Allen, ADP of 7, pick 7. You had to pair him with Puka, obviously, to get that ADP of 6, gets picked at pick 6. Then you come back in the second round and you get T. Higgins there at pick 18, just 2 picks ahead of ADP. You get Michael Wilson directly at ADP at pick 19. And then you come in the 5th round, you get RJ Harvey, pick 31, ADP 32.8. And then Dalton Kincaid, ADP of 33.7. He goes pick 30 here. So just one of those kind of logical lineups where if you're moving along, you're looking for the correlation and you get to that last round, you might as well stack up Josh Allen with Dalton Kincaid. Easy game there, 18.3K heading to those 3 finalists there. Congratulations, but I'll say next time you do have to ask your opponents not to dupe you, bro. That's how you avoid this. If you draft that team and you don't call dibs on it, people will dupe you. So that's just a little note of caution going forward for you 3. All right. As far as my teams, I did have 150 in here. I didn't have any great sweats in this. My best team was a Stafford to Puka with a Michael Wilson bring back. It did have RJ Harvey and Brock Bowers. So then this is, obviously you need Josh Allen. Stafford's not going to get it done. And then Bijan, 8.4 points in round 1. That's certainly not going to do it. I did have a Josh Allen, Chase Brown, Puka Nacua, Michael Wilson, which is, sniffing the pieces you need. But 2v2 off the nuts because Breece Hall scored 4.3 points. I had too much Breece Hall this week, too much Kenneth Walker. That really sunk the portfolio. Tyler Warren only scores 2.7 in this one as well. I had another Nacua Allen, very similar. This one has Josh Allen, Puka, Michael Wilson, Dalton Kincaid. Again, 4 of 6 spots correct. And then just an absolute dud at running back. Kenneth Walker, 3.3 points. Ashton Genty, 4.8. I will say, though, I feel good about being slightly overweight on guys like Kenneth Walker and Genty. You look at these draft percentages here, 20.9 for Kenneth Walker, 12% for Ashton Genty, even RJ Harvey, who we just saw in that winning lineup was sub 50%. Being able to get overweight on some of these guys who do not project that much differently than the 3rd and 4th round running backs, I think is still a strategy that you want to pursue in these games. Because it's just such a huge advantage when you get the big scores. The one guy who was kind of a miss for me in my portfolio is I just did not have enough Travis Etienne, who I thought would have been a nice scroll there. But you can see my running back percentages here. I ended up having, 12% Kenneth Walker, which is over the field, 10% RJ Harvey, 7% Genty there, and only 0.5%, only 1 share of Travis Etienne. A lot of Bucky, a lot of JT, a lot of Jacobs. Basically, any running backs in round 1, you were drawing dead because you had to have the Allen-Puka combo at the start of the board. You needed Allen, you needed Puka, you needed Michael Wilson. Those were kind of non-negotiable pieces. I wanted to say I think it was a no Bo Sox team up here. I saw someone who had Fannin at tight end that had just narrowly missed the nuts here. I don't know where that team was at the top, but that would have really been the hammer, right? Where you have this Josh Allen team. You could have gone RJ Harvey or Chase Brown as your running back. And then if you scroll down to Fannin, then you get like the Giga Smash score here. I'm just looking at some of these tight ends. Lots of Kyle Pitts who projected well and got 12 points. Oh, here's the Fannin team. So this team was really, really close. Josh Allen, Chase Brown, RJ Harvey, Puka Nacua, T. Higgins, Harold Fannin. But again, just sacrificed too many points relative to the Michael Wilson score. So even though Chase Brown scores 17 here, compared to the 3 wide receiver teams, Michael Wilson, you're giving up 14 points. So just really, really hard when you get some of these monster scores. Like you just have to have the Allen, Puka, Michael Wilson trio to be able to get first place there. I bricked in DeBomb in fullback dive, just evergreen for me there. I think in the fullback dive is where I had my Josh Allen team. I had an Allen with Chase, so that sold me out. If you were looking for those correlations there, you basically had a few options at the back end. You could do Allen with Chase. You could do Puka with Allen. You could do Puka with Chase if it was there. You could do Bijan with one of those guys. But yeah, didn't get the combos right here. Did an Allen, Chase, Dalton Kincaid thing. That didn't work out. Yeah, this is just miserable looking at these. I had a Stafford to Puka with a Trey McBride bring back instead of Michael Wilson. That hurt. And I believe Michael Wilson was my most drafted wide receiver. He was my most drafted player on the slate, which again just shows how much of a combo game this is. My two most drafted wide receivers, Michael Wilson at 22%, Puka Nacua at 20%, and JSN at 18.1%. That is the nuts. Those are the nuts right there at wide receiver. Wilson, Puka, JSN. And it didn't matter, but we will keep pressing on. We will keep pressing on. Who took down the Wildcat? We had Shilly, recognize that username, had the Allen to Dalton Kincaid with the double bring back, T. Higgins and Chase Brown, and then that Puka Michael Wilson mini correlation there. So the exact same team as the one in the BR, except Chase Brown instead of RJ Harvey. Two teams in the top 5 there for Shilly. Nice week over in the Wildcat. Look at this, guys. I believe I cashed both playbook streams that we did on Monday. We had 117th place. This is how sad these portfolio reviews are now, is we have to review my playbook teams. We do have to look at last place in the playbook. I did remember we need to look at last place in the playbook. I did that Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase with Dalton Kincaid bring back. We had JSN, RJ Harvey, DeAndre Swift. So at least our instincts on that first draft were good. Let's see what last place had in the playbook here. Last place scores 39.3. J-Dubs. They go Daniel Jones to Tyler Warren, Olave, Devontae Adams, Devon Achane, Bijan Robinson. So yeah, that'll do it. A logical lineup there. Daniel Jones, looking like he's done for the year. Did we get that confirmed, by the way? I just assume it's confirmed. But yeah, that's a rough run out there. Did everybody clean up their play in the playbook? Because I'm looking at these teams and I'm not seeing any Luke Farrell ass picks. There's a Jane Daniels, there's Baker, Zach Ertz. Oh no. I want by shaming all of the playbook drafters, did everybody wise up? Everybody stopped punting in the playbook? All right. I don't know, guys. These lineups look pretty above board to me. Unfortunately, there's a double tight end lineup by John Burgess. That's about as wild as we're going to get here, I guess. That's sad, guys. It's sad. Here we're going to launch the new hit segment of roasting the worst teams in the playbook every week. And now everybody's just ho-hum. Slap that. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm even looking at these non-badges, and no one really got out of pocket here. Couple double tight end teams. Man, our fun's all over. Shout out to Paul here down in near to last place of the playbook with a Baker. A lot of duds on that slate. That the Baker Mayfield, Igbuka, Olave stuff. I thought that game was going to cook off to the gate because Bucky Irving catches that pass that he took to the house, and I was like, all right, we're rolling here. We were not rolling. Spoiler alert. All right. Let's see here. What other contests do we want to look at? We did not have a Deposit Kingdom tournament. I know a couple of you guys were disappointed about that. I think it just slipped through everybody's radar. Normally we're doing the show on Friday. Everybody's traveling. I don't know if something just didn't get put up there, or if they were trying to kind of limit the lobby as a way to encourage fill rates in other contests. Not entirely sure, but we will make sure we get the Deposit Kingdom and Badge Bros Brawl tournaments back this week. Let's go quickly look at the 12-person contest here. I'm telling you guys, the playbook, we did 2 drafts on last Monday's stream, a 12-person playbook and a 6-person. Finished 15th place here in the 12-person playbook, maybe this is my contest. Maybe I need to just stop playing the big BR. I just need to devote all my attention to early week drafting. We did a naked Jordan Love. We did Bijan, DeAndre Swift, but we had Puka, we had Higgins, we had Dalton Kincaid. T. Higgins was way too cheap in these early drafts. We took him at pick 39 in this one. So as usual, if you're on top of some of the news and some of the mispriced players, you can take advantage there in the playbook. And cashed a few teams in the goal line stand. Weird Frank takes it down, 141.64. It's interesting to see these scores relative to the Dawg Bowl. So, Dawg Bowl only 108 entrants, 115.64. In a contest with, how many did we have in this one? 6,000 entrants. You needed almost 30 more points, 141.64. They had a Allen with a T. Higgins bring back, had a DeAndre Swift, Christian Watson mini correlation, one off Blake Corum at 9.8%, and then Harold Fannin, who was nearly 100% drafted, but you needed that 21.4 points to take this down. And you'll notice who's in second place here, guys. Nerdytenor. Nerdytenor here. Didn't even know he was in the 12-person streets. Has a Matthew Stafford to Michael Wilson and Puka team, Kyle Pitts, and then that same sicko scroll, Tony Pollard and Jalen Warren. What does that tell you? Nerdytenor, Brosonosaurus Flex, a couple of these Giga Brains with their clankers like in Tony Pollard. So do with that information what you will going forward. But Tony Pollard, the skeleton key to a second place finish here for Nerdytenor. Mathology, 12-man's the greatest game on the app. Hope we can get more contests moving forward. Yeah, I keep referencing it was the week 14 last year. I think we had the 20,000 to first place for the goal line stand. This week we had 10,000. Let's see here. Have they already put up this week's drafts? What do we have for the goal line stand? Is it up? Did I miss it? Where's goal line stand? There it is. 10K to first again. So yeah, I'm with you, Mathology. It'd be fun to see this continue to grow. It is like a tough, I think, dilemma from a contest selection standpoint with the Dawg Bowl dominating so much of the capital on the site in the interest in the 12s. It'd be hard to run that concurrently. And then you also have trouble, I think, building up momentum. These contests do better when they're in front of everyone week after week. Then you pivot right to the goal line stand. But yeah, I wish there was a way to ensure a big prize pool there for the goal line stand every week. Let's see here. What else was there anything else in the daily side that we wanted to look at here? I don't think so. I think we're good on the Underdog Lineup Reviews. Let's transition and do a little bit of best ball. And this is where I get to be sad. My Big Eliminator team is done. It is done. I actually had a sweat heading into last night. I did not stay up to watch the sweat because I was absolutely exhausted. But I lost the team. The sweat was I needed Ladd McConkey to do something last night, and he most definitely did not. Going into the final slate, and now actually seeing this, I don't think I had a chance because Omari and Hampton ended up separating as well. So unfortunately, I finished with 101.44, which is last in my pod. I needed to get to 115 points to advance. And I think a couple things happened. The main one is I just had too many players on bye. That what you kind of live by the week 14 bye hack, and you certainly die by the week 14 bye hack. I didn't have Bryce Young. I didn't have Teteroya McMillan. I didn't have Jawan Jennings. I didn't have Coker. Losing all those bodies certainly hurt. Didn't have Ramondre Stevenson, and ended up putting a lot of pressure on my wide receiver room to fill that void. I mean, Ladd McConkey scores 1.7. That hits my lineup. Pickens scores 6.2. That hits my lineup. And Addison scores 8.2. Thank God Dalton Kincaid played. He ends up even outscoring my tight end there, Trey McBride, but just not enough firepower at wide receiver. to only be 15 points out, it's just not that hard. Otherwise, if you just have one other decent usable score, but 8.2 from your highest scoring wide receiver is not going to cut it. And the other thing that kind of hurt is you open up the weekend with Jahmyr Gibbs going for 33.5 and you're like, all right, I'm cooking. But then you go and you look at, let me pull this in another tab here because I can show you the competitor rosters. You pull this up and lo and behold, there's a reason we all are here, and it's Jahmyr Gibbs. So 3 of the 4 teams had Jahmyr Gibbs. What's crazy, though, is a team without Jahmyr Gibbs advanced. That Dale team had Christian McCaffrey on bye, but because of Chase Brown, because of Jerry Jeudy, who else scored decently for him here? Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson's the skeleton key. 17th round Michael Wilson. I'm sitting on here with 17th round DeAndre Hopkins. So that Michael Wilson thing, just an absolute difference maker, and now gets a low-owned Christian McCaffrey, I have to assume, into the week 15 pods there. So that was a bummer. You know, that's a $2,500 swing to if I can place and advance there, but had fun. Nice to make money in the big eliminator there. You just walk away with that 2,500. But unfortunate not to have enough firepower to move on in the big elim. I am going to pour some more coffee, and then we can tab around and look at some other best ball stuff here. How did your guys' your sweats go? Were you guys sweating your pods and all of that? In the let's start with BBM, and I think this will be a little easier if we just head over to Patrick Donovan's at bbmdb.com here. I ended up advancing 31 of my 150 teams, which I can't complain about. Pretty happy with that 20.7% advance rate. Expectation right there around 16.6%. So feel good about getting 31 of these home. We, of course, have the Team of Destiny, the Bash team as my top team, finishes there in the top 1,665th to be exact. The one kind of disappointing thing about this team is we do lose Daniel Jones. So not having that third kind of stack out in the gauntlet run here is a little disappointing, but I think Herbert and Stroud can certainly keep us afloat here. We are one of many teams that has Jahmyr Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor, but we have them both together. We also have Breece Hall, Woody Marks, who I think is going to come on here a bit. Nick Chubb banged up. I don't have any hope for this iteration of the Chiefs to utilize Brashard Smith, so we can probably call that a 0. JSN, Sutton, Debo, Judy looking a little bit better with Shadur balling out. Jaden Higgins, who continues to show a decent floor, but is kind of due for a spike week. Keenan, Tesla, who I thought was going to have a better run out if Amon-Ra was missing some time, but then Amon-Ra, just an absolute dog, returns to action. Tight ends looking a little rough, if we're being honest. Kelsey looks washed. Ferguson's fine. Jonnu is kind of a non-factor, so we're going to have to ask a lot of Jake Ferguson here. And yeah, JT has a tough matchup in the playoffs as well versus Seattle. So the Jonathan Taylor stuff, that advance rate kind of domination, was slowly going down with a few of those duds, and now gets a tough week 15. But it kind of flips the script on the JT best ball narrative, right? Where it's like, oh, everybody's going to have JT. Would you rather have a lower owned Barkley or whatever the comparison is? But now Jonathan Taylor, if he has another dud game in week 15 and you get him to week 16, all of a sudden the pendulum swung back around and you have a low owned Jonathan Taylor. So it's funny how quickly that stuff can change. But I do agree the Jonathan Taylor stuff is just not looking nearly as hot as it did a few weeks ago. Let me go back and look at some of the specific BBM teams here. Where am I? All right, here we are. So obviously the Bash team that we just talked about, a couple, I'll just read off some of these other teams, because every one of these was streamed. If you do want to go back, you can kind of see here on screen the date there, so you can go and find it. I'll just quickly read off these teams that are advancing. A Mike Leone Best Ball Breakfast team, an Ian Harditz Best Ball Breakfast team, another Michael Leone Best Ball Breakfast team, the Bash team with Pat Moore. That team, he was messaging me last night, just narrowly missed the top 1,000, I believe, or the cash line for the regular season. 2 more Michael Leone Best Ball Breakfast teams. So the Leone team's crushing. My team with JM to win from one of the final Best Ball Breakfasts, that's advancing. A Bash team with Neil Farley. This was the first episode of the Bash, I believe. The first episode of the Bash. And we did a Matthew Stafford double stack with Puka and Devontae Adams. And we did a Jalen Hurts to AJ Brown. This team, unfortunately, though, has Travis Hunter and Brandon Ayuk on it. Otherwise, there's some really interesting pieces on this one. Henderson, Pollard, ETN, Blake Corum. So that's kind of fun there. Schultz and Goddard at tight end is fun. But yeah, not having 2 of your early round wide receivers certainly hurts. Here's a Pat Kerrane one. Here is a Deposit Kingdom team I did with Ron Stewart. A Deposit Kingdom team. You guys always remind me these initials. I'm trying to remember. Mason MD, I think, is Mason Dodd. Is that the one? Yes. The Mason Dodd team advanced Best Ball Breakfast with CL. Who is CL? CL, I forget. There was a Best Ball Breakfast solo team that I labeled Don't Discuss. Another Best Ball Breakfast solo team. A Michael Leone team. A Lord Reeves team. Who is BG? Who is BG? You guys have to keep BG team, Emo Cowboy team, solo Best Ball Breakfast, solo Best Ball Breakfast, one with KD, one with my Badge Bros on off and on the clock, another solo Best Ball Breakfast team, a Deposit Kingdom team where I was trying to recreate the winning BBM3 structure. Man, look at this quarterback room on this one. Justin Fields, JJ McCarthy, Bryce Young, CMC, JT, Sharbs, Shipley, Jarquez Hunter, Garrett Wilson, J-Mo Williams, Debo, Addison, Cup, Palmer, McMillan, Reynolds. Yeah, this team isn't long for the contest. Another OOTC team, an MD. Thank you for always reminding me it's Chess Liam. Lowell's, the team I drafted with Brick. Incredible. Look at that. Patrick Mahomes and Geno Smith, CMC Swift. What a homer, Swift. Tank Bigsby, Jaden Blue, Keaton Mitchell, Brashard Smith. Man, Marvin Harrison, Pickens, Rice, Jaden Higgins, Shaheed, Burden, Leggett, Besh, Bowers, Likely. Yeah, some of these teams are rough. Best Ball Breakfast with RP. Who's RP? Oh, these initials, I killed myself with those. An OOTC team and another solo Best Ball Breakfast team there. So that looks to be the portfolio. Let's see. This was the earliest team that I drafted that's advancing, it looks like. This was on 6/2. Or no, let me lie. Here's a May 17th with MD. This is a Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud team. Ooh, okay. This team's kind of fun because you get Prescott and Stroud. You have JT Hampton, Trevion Henderson, Algier, and then obviously Eckler and Hunter are zeros, but has CeeDee Lamb, Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, Shakir, Higgins, Noel, Demario Douglas, Tolbert, Travis Kelce, and Pat Freiermuth. Tight end's kind of rough there. These were our Bubble Boy teams. The Bash with Chris, a Best Ball After Dark with Steph Miller, a Breakfast with Kendall Valenzuela, a solo, Eric Beimfor, JB, Sack, Mathology, MR, Pat, a couple Leones in there. So there it is. I'm not going to go through all of these teams right now, but hopefully we can get a few on to week 16, and then we can start to get the sweats. If you guys need a refresher on the pods, so week 17 is the 539 seat final. Week 16 is the tough one, going 1 of 16, and this week is 1 of 13. So this one, week 15 there's hope with week 15, right? Because you have a lot of bullets, 1 in 13. What's the math on this? 1 in 13 times my 31. What is my expected to get through here? expected to get 2.38 through. So if you can get 3, even 4 through on that, you're looking good. And then it's really where you get your heart ripped out in week 16 with that finishing 1 out of 16 in your pod. Extremely tough to do, but we shall see. It's a wonderful time of year. And hopefully one of you guys, one of you portfolio review watchers, one of you Deposit Kingdom members can represent us in the BBM6 finals. All right, let's see here. What other stuff do we want to look at here across the best ball? Biggest board, I got 1 team through. Looks like I drafted this on After Dark. A Joe Mixon team is hilarious to look at. This was the $250 buy-in. So nice to get one of these through here. The bigger board, I have 1 of my 5 entries advancing. The War Room, I bricked. The big board, I had 30 entries and only 5 through, which I believe is below expectation. We can actually look at my overall portfolio here. Yeah, big board, 16.7 relative to a 25% baseline. Definitely checks out that I was not dialed in for the big board. I was a Johnny come lately there. Just didn't have a ton of volume in the other stuff, you know, schnauzers there. I like looking at the like the Chow Chow and the Pit Bull stuff. Let's see how we did there. The big dog, unfortunately, I had 2 teams, one with Dave, one with Charlie. Line of scrimmage. Charlie, we charged up, man. Holy cow, Charlie. We were close. Actually, no, we weren't close. We were close to 3rd, but still it was just top 2 advance in this big dog. We ended up getting 4th there. Couldn't advance, unfortunately. The Dalmatian, I believe I still have the best team in the contest, or finished with the highest score, 1,897 points here. This was my, probably my best team overall, along with that Bash team. It's a Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers. That room can cook. The running backs are JT, Jalen Warren, Judkins, and Woody Marks. Braylon Allen and Sanders are zeros, but JT, Warren, Judkins, Marks, that'll play. Jamar Chase, Pickens, Devonta Smith, Debo, Diggs, Dobbs, Noel. So at least a healthy wide receiver room. And then not Tucker Kraft, he's gone, but Trey McBride at tight end. So I don't know if this team looks like a shipper to me, but certainly was a regular season shipper. Yeah, number 1 in the regular season. How much does that pay out? That's got to be like $100,000 top prize, right? You would think. All right, what else did we have? We had the Chow Chow. I love the Chow Chow. That's the $50 15 max. Advanced 4 teams there. Can you find one of these teams that you get really excited about? This running back room has Dobbins, Blue, Rachaad White, and Eckler. Can't get excited about that. Here is another team. I think we could get a little excited about this one. Jalen Hurts, Baker, and Tua. Bijan, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, Tajay Spears, Dylan Sampson, sore subject, too soon. Devonta Smith, Emeka Egbuka, Cooper Kupp, Kyle Williams, Wan'Dale Robinson, Diami Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Roman Wilson, Trey McBride, Hunter Henry. That team's fine. Do I have any of these that snuck in with some fun players? This running back room sucks. Swift, Pacheco, Warren, Tracy, Jaden Blue, Rachaad White, Nick Chubb. I guess it's fine. I just wanted one team that looked like pure sex, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Bijan, Bucky, Montgomery, Ramondre, Chubb, Shipley. Maybe this is just a futile exercise. I don't think I'm going to like any of these teams. Is that where we're at right now in these smaller contests that you're just not going to like? You're not going to love your teams going through? Here's a Husky team. Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, and Sam Darnold. Imagine. This team has Michael Wilson. Okay, this team's kind of Michael Wilson stuff. Like how much of that you had with Kyler Murray is kind of annoying. Let me see here. Where's Michael Wilson? So Michael Wilson, I had 33 teams with Michael Wilson. And how many of them were with Kyler Murray? 18 of those were with Kyler Murray. So that's unfortunate. So So what's our math on that? Non-Kyler Murray, Michael Wilson teams, 15 of them. Yeah, 15 of them. Only one in Best Ball Mania, one in the Schnauzer, one in the bigger board. That's nice. One in the Husky, one in the Pit Bull. Let's see. Let me go to the other Husky. I want to see this non-Kyler Murray Michael Wilson team. Oh, it's not this one. This is actually one of the more decent running back rooms I've looked at. A CMC, Kyron Williams, Swift, Pacheco, Stevenson, Judkins. Fully healthy running back room there. Mahomes and Tua. This one has AJ Brown, JSN, Devonta Smith, Ayuk, yuck. Hollywood Brown, Franklin, Coker, Tesla. That one's not bad. Here, this has to be the team, the off and on the clock team with Michael Wilson. Wait, where is that? Oh, no, it has to be this one. Okay, here it is. Here's the Michael Wilson team. It's a Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford, Achan Harvey, Kamara, Jordan Mason, Bashal Tootin. Man, guys, what happened to Tootin on Sunday? That was rough. He got benched, right? He had a fumble or something and then got benched? That was rough. Puka, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Shakir, Dobbs, Hopkins, and Wilson. Okay. Mike Evans maybe coming back. Puka with Adams is fun with that Stafford premium. And then the tight ends are fine. Ingram, Henry, Otten. I don't know, guys. This might just be one of those things where I check back in week 16 and see if any of these have, done anything special. What's up, B-Zigs? Appreciate you here. $10 super chat. Good luck. Best time of the year. We will, I'll look at our FFPC stuff in a second because we had a really, really nice run out in basically all of our teams. Had a really good 2-week stretch here. So I'll pull those up in a second. So I got lazy renaming some of the randomizer shows. So unfortunately, some of these say 12 person, but it is always funny to see how the randomizer teams finished. Team with Cooper, 12, FF Hitman, 9, Nez, 10, Coach Speak Index, 12, Ron Stewart, 11, Denny Carter. The team with Denny Carter finished in Harditz. Dude, Ian Harditz might be guest of the year on the channel. His BBM team is advancing, and our team on the randomizer is winning. I actually want to look at the Ian Harditz BBM team because I sent it to him the other day, and it looked pretty good when I looked at it. It's a Josh Allen, Drake May team. That's a fun quarterback pairing. And then it has Gibbs, Chuba Hubbard, ETN, Dylan Sampson, too soon, Austin Eckler, rest in peace, but Blake Corum. So Gibbs, Hubbard, ETN, and Corum. I think you can go to war in the BBM playoffs with those four. And then the wide receivers, Ladd, J-Mo, Diggs, Shakir, Pittman, Wan'Dale Robinson, Hopkins. And then the tight ends, both of the quarterbacks stacked up. So Kincaid, Henry, and then Jawan Johnson. I thought that one was a pretty nice looking BBM team. I did not have a lot of Josh Allen, so it's nice to have one there. I actually want to see how many BBM Allen teams I have advancing. So I have five in Best Ball Mania there. Actually, let me go over to BBM here and look at the Allen teams. This is a nice PSA here from JJFC. Great time to Venmo Patrick Donovan for his service. Very good call there. There's a link here. I'll drop it in the account or in the chat there. Patrick Donovan. His username is Pat Rob Don, PATROBDON, if you're finding him there on bbmdb.com. So yeah, I was going to look at my Josh Allen teams here. This is the one I just looked at with Ian. Josh Allen, Dak Prescott team that has Bijan and Jonathan Taylor. That's not too bad. These tight ends. That's the other one that's fun to look at right now, are Harold Fannin teams, right? Harold Fannin looks like he is going to be a difference maker, especially for the teams that don't have McBride, right? McBride and Bowers, really nice pieces to have, obviously. But if you can get a late round Harold Fannin who's putting up scores on par with them, down the stretch. That could certainly be a difference maker there. I have an Allen Darnold. This is kind of a fun team. It's Gibbs, Henry, Cook. I guess it's just those three because Sanders is dead. Man, David Njoku, Dalton Kincaid, and Elijah Arroyo tight end room. Jeez. Here's a Josh Allen Tua team with Henry, Chase Brown, Javonte Williams, Ray Davis, and Devin Neal. Devin Neal's kind of a gem to sneak in right now. And then what's my last Josh Allen team? A 3-quarterback Josh Allen team. Allen, Tua, Daniel Jones. I guess it's 2-quarterback now. Achane, Kyron, Tracy, Tootin, Giddens. It is like, it's such a masochistic exercise going through your teams because there's just so many landmines, so many injuries, so many guys you're not excited about. I did see this. KZ says Tyler Warren, QB1. I did see the report that he could potentially be the emergency quarterback 1. I also saw that they did a tryout with Phillip Rivers. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, Indianapolis. All right, let's see here. These are my Fannin teams. Okay, 5 Fannin teams advancing. One is I gotta re-update this. Here we go. Yeah, 5 Fannin teams advancing out of my 15 shares. This is kind of a fun team. It's Purdy, Fields, Goff, but it has Barkley, Taylor, Hall, Bijan, JSN, Jamo, Olave, Jawan Jennings, Josh Downs, Hollywood Brown, Troy Franklin, Quentin Johnston, Henry, Ertz, Fannin. This actually might be one of the few teams I've looked at this morning that I actually really like, and it's pretty healthy as well. Fields might start playing again, right? Has there been a report on that? Are they going to go with him? But regardless, Brock and Purdy, the Barkley, Taylor, Hall trio is nice. Obviously, JSN, Jamo's heating up. Olave, Jawan Jennings, Downs, Brown, Franklin, and QJ. I think this is a team I drafted with Leone. Pretty sure this was the Leone team. And then Henry, Ertz, and Fannin. Ertz obviously in rough shape there, but Henry and Fannin can certainly get some damage done. This team I already looked at. Here's a Patrick Mahomes, Caleb Williams team. Man, that has Garrett Wilson. Like, just staring at Garrett Wilson. I'm sure there were times I took Garrett Wilson over JSN this year. I'm sure there were lots of instances, and that just feels awful. Let's see. Should we see like the worst team I got into the playoffs? I do think that's always the fun angle too. Like, how many unique players do you get in on a team with only 1,555 points here? This team way down here, 226,920th place. It's a Kyler Murray team. I can't even look at this. Solo JJ McCarthy. This team does not deserve to be in the playoffs. I don't even want to look at this one. Of course, it does have Michael Wilson. It has Trey McBride. If this team was just Brissett and McCarthy, we could have some fun. I don't want to look at that one. How about my second to worst team? This one's a Baker, Jordan Love, Tua that does have Fannin on it and Darren Waller. It has Chase, Waddle, Pickens, Golden, Kupp, McMillan, Michael Wilson. Did we just look at this one? This is the other Michael Wilson without Kyler team there. So yeah, JT, Bucky. If we could get Trey Benson to ever come back. Here's another team that snuck in. It's a Mahomes Goff, but it has Justin Jefferson on it. I mean, who wants Justin Jefferson on a team right now? Maybe these teams barely squeaked in for a reason. Patrick Mahomes, Geno Smith. I think I looked at this team before. It has Marvin Harrison on it. I don't know, guys. This was a bad exercise. I'm not having fun. Justin Fields, Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold team. Now I can't even remember if I've already looked at these teams. I don't want to look at a Garrett Wilson team. I just do not want to look at it. We looked at that one. All right, I'm about to be done with this. Seeing Cam Scatabo on teams just hurts. Here's an idea for Patrick Donovan. Patrick, how about a preloaded non-rostered players basket? Like a bucket. Like the players who are out for the season, so you can just click it and you can see your teams that don't have a Cam Scatabo, that don't have a Garrett Wilson, all in one click. Is that a good idea? I don't want to create more work for you, but I think that'd be a cool thing if you could just say, don't show me any of my teams with zeros. And maybe you could, maybe you create the basket where it has to be like you spent a 10th round pick or better on them or something. So it's not like if Miles Sanders is out, like whatever, I don't care. It was an 18th round pick, but it would be nice to see like the non-Garrett Wilson, non-Scatabo, those kind of teams in a simple way. Okay. I think that's we got to go check in on the Eliminator because our guy Yosh is advancing. M. Stockton, I'm aware that you can click non-rostered and then click. I'm saying that you create a one click for all of those players. That's what I'm saying. I'm being lazy, M. Stockton. I'm being lazy. Anyways, let's go over to the Eliminator where we got a few friends advancing. Steampunk Mario actually has the second highest scoring team here advancing to week 15 in the Eliminator. He wins 146.84, just smokes his competition. And this team, man, I love looking at this team, Yosh, because it's just working in harmony right now. You know, when one guy has an off week, these other guys are stepping up. You get the Stafford score. You have ETN coming on at the right time here with Jacobs and Kyron. Even with the Jamar Chase Sutton dud, you have Michael Wilson on this team. You have Michael Wilson. Your tight ends are awesome. Kincaid, Goddard, and Fannin. You don't even use the scores there. Actually, I was like, why aren't you using one of your tight end scores here? It's because you use your running back in the flex there. So even with 7.7 from Chase and 9.2 from Sutton, it doesn't matter because 31.7. I mean, this team, other than Scatabo, right? In Wilson, it's healthy. It has ceiling. I guess Jalen McMillan there as well. But this is just a really balanced team that I love how this is shaking out here. You survived the Purdy bye, the Jawan Jennings bye there. Rooting for you, Steampunk Mario. I see Gunnar Ross. He was one of the Dawg Bowl finalists. Got to hang out with him a little bit there in KC. He's advancing with the Mahomes Bo Nix team, and really nice to advance when you have CMC on bye, but he got the pod luck there of being matched up against another CMC team. He unfortunately has Garrett Wilson on this squad, but kind of similar texture to the Yosh team there of being balanced, healthy, and a pretty good wide receiver room. Ooh, yeah, you're going to love seeing Jamar Chase on your week 15 matchup here versus the Bengals, versus the Ravens. That's a good call. Yeah, let's see your other team, Yosh, that died. I see our guy Philly Eth in the Deposit Kingdom Discord died here. Schmo died here. 78 points on. Oh, yeah. So Steampunk, you used Cam Ward's score because Drake May was on bye. Henry continues to disappoint. Taylor disappoints. Hendo on bye. Yeah, this was just a week 14 team, man. You know, Demario Douglas, Ted Arroyo, Henderson, Drake May. Yeah, that team got week 14. But guess what? I remember making that video. And I was like, yes, if you overload week 14 buys, you will probably not make it to week 15. But you will be $10,000 richer. And I think that's a pretty good consolation prize. And you get the ultimate consolation in that one of your other teams that wasn't so week 14 heavy is advancing. So very nice run there, Steampunk. Take it down. How many Eliminator teams are left? You're looking at them right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. So it'll go 12, 6, 3. 12, 6, 3 there, getting down to the finals. All right, you guys alerting me that McMillan is practicing. There you go. Huge influx of wide receiver talent coming back for the Bucs, it sounds like. I think that's it for now on the best ball front. We'll probably get pods Thursday morning. I feel like historically is when we get them. Who knows? Maybe we get them a little earlier, but you do got to let the stat corrections take place. I'm pretty sure those generally process Wednesday at some point. But I'm excited with all of our little data scientists and Excel bros around here getting the pod sweats going, looking at your ownership, looking at your leverage plays. Always a good time getting those pod sweats filed up. When does playoff best ball drop? My guess, and I honestly have no inside info. I was hanging out with Underdog people all weekend. I have no inside info. I would just assume that it will be coming this week, right? Because it's like everybody gets the stimmy from their regular season money dropped in their account Wednesday, Thursday. I got to imagine they have the gauntlet ready to go for that. Got to imagine there is the gauntlet ready for people to spend their winnings. Butterflies in my stomach for this time of the year. Yeah, I have butterflies in my stomach, or I can't just tell if that's all the beer still sloshing around, Nez. I mentioned at the top of the stream I was down bad. I have never been down as bad as I was on Monday morning. We got back from the Chiefs game. We closed the Chiefs stadium down. They had to kick us out. We had seats where we were near the club level, so we could just stay in the indoor part, and the bar was still open. So we were having drinks, and then, you got to wait for your Uber or whatever, get home. I don't think I went to bed till 12:30 or 1. And then I had the 4 a.m. alarm set for my flight. My flight was at 6 a.m. and I still had to shower and pack and everything. When that alarm went off at 4 a.m. and I woke up still hammered with very little sleep and having to pack, I wanted to cry. I really, really wanted to cry. But we are rallying, and I just can't get over how down bad I was. My eyes closed, Prague. I didn't yak in my Uber. That was for me too. As my plane was landing, I had to connect through Detroit. When I was landing in Boston, I felt so sick. And then my Uber ride back, I knew I could not look at my phone, because if I look at my phone in the back of the car where I'm already feeling oozy, I know I'm just donezo. So I would just 45-minute Uber ride home from the airport, just looking straight ahead out the window saying, please don't be sick. Please don't be sick. Oh my God. Do payouts happen on Thursday? Yeah, I would assume so. They normally happen concurrently with pod advancements. This happened to Mathology last year. Oh yeah, that was when he almost went to the wrong airport. I do remember that. Yeah, it is. It was rough. All right, what do we want to do here next? Let's do a quick detour over to some FFPC for our season long, because I think there's some fun updates there. And we had some fun sweats as well. So we basically had 4 teams within our ship chasing high stakes portfolio where we streamed. I believe every team that we had in contention was streamed. But we had 4 that made the playoffs. And if you guys aren't familiar with kind of how the payouts work here for these $1,800 main event teams, if you get first seed, which is team with the best head-to-head record, or the second seed, which is the team with the most points, that's $2,000 each for those. And if you get both of those, you get a sweep bonus for those. And then there's the league playoffs in weeks 13 and 14. And if you get first in that, you get the it's $6,500 cash if you take the full cash options. Second place is $1,500 cash, etc. So I can go through these 4 teams quickly just to give you the rundown. But the team with this team was with Gretsch. Hot Heat was with Gretsch, and we finished first overall in the season. We had both the best record, and it looks like, I don't know, maybe the 3rd amount of points, 4th amount, but it didn't matter because we had the best record. So we locked in that prize. Week 14, we win by 6 points in the playoffs. And then week 13, we win by 9 points. So this is one of those teams that's been running well, had a good record, and then won here. And I was worried about our matchup last night because we're heading into this and we were facing Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown with, I think it was only a 20-point cushion or something, 25-point cushion. And we hold on and win. And so this team with Gretsch has been an awesome team. It has Drake May on bye this week, but it has Bowers, Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Adams, and RJ Harvey on it. So that quartet there alone with the quarterbacks is really, really nice. And it has Harold Fannin. So this team can do some damage in the playoffs. It had Tedoroya McMillan on bye. It does have Jaden Reed too. I could see that being a fun angle if he comes along, where in the playoff sprint, if we do like a Love Reed stack, that could certainly be in play for us. We got 3 defenses to play the matchups there. So yeah, really excited about this team. So this team, first place regular season and gets in first place here. So we get the full sweep, a nice chunk of change there on that hot team, hot heat. Why can't I talk? Hot heat team. The Islands team. This is the team with Sean. It finished second in the regular season. And that means we get the $2,000 bonus there for points. And yes, League of Items, if you'll notice, there's a theme to the names of all of these teams. They are all Canadian indie rock bands from, the mid 2000s, basically, I would say. That was in honor of Jacob Sanderson joining the ship chasing universe this year. So yes, you'll notice that theme there. But yeah, so this team with Sean is also really fun because this is our one JSN team across the portfolio. And similarly, we, in week 13, we barely win 138.4 to 133.9. And then we just went nuclear in the league championship. We had Goff, Jalen Warren, Achane, CeeDee Lamb, JSN, Harold Fannin, RJ Harvey, Chris Olave, Chase McLaughlin. We also had May on bye here. This team also has Aronde Gadsden, who not looking too hot here of late. But yeah, another fun team just with these Fannin teams could really supercharge things in the playoffs. And we needed this one because this team had Laporta, who we lost. We had the Goff Laporta stack. But getting Fannin now stepping up is going to keep this team extremely live. And the Achane Lamb JSN trio there is really nice. So RJ Harvey going to be big for us. Fannin's going to be big for us. And love seeing this team crushing as well. And then I got to show you guys the sweat from last night's team with Steph. So we had this Nico Case team, and this is the one main event team that did not win a first place regular season prize or second place. It squeaks into the playoffs. We get the 4 seed. We're 7-5. Last week, we did have a nice victory, 148 to 106. But heading into last night, and I believe Davis and Steph put this on Twitter, I think we needed like 37, 38 points from Omarion Hampton and Cameron Dicker. And Cameron Dicker goes for 22 points. Dicker, the kicker, does that. Omarion Hampton scores that touchdown early, gets to 14.7 points. And we narrowly beat Jimbo number 5 by 2 points to get that league prize and sneak into the sprint. Because if you're the 4 seed, you don't automatically get a seat into the league sprint. You have to play your way in if you don't get one of the auto bids for first and second seed. So this is really fun. Steph is, we call her the waiver queen for a reason. She grinds the waivers for all of our teams. I don't think there's anybody better at it. Positions us well in advance of all of these different, bye week issues, getting ready for the playoff sprint. So super stoked that her team was able to make it in. And I can list it off for you here. Caleb Williams, Omarion Hampton, Devin Neal, Olave, Jamo, Brock Bowers, Godwin, Luther Burden. And then this team had Drake May and Henderson on bye. It had Rico Dowdle on bye. It has Drake London hurt. It has Jawan Jennings hurt. It has Roman Tunze hurt. So this could be like one of those fun sprint teams where you get some of these pieces in at really low ownership, like a Drake London, and see if they can really go off when it matters. And then kind of my favorite one of these is the 5K team we drafted with Leone. And I woke up this morning. I went to bed early last night. I went to bed at like 8:15. I was completely gassed, so I didn't sweat any of the games. I came back to like 100 messages in our group chat with Leone and Gretch because we basically needed, it was like 5 different things we needed to happen in this 5K league. And I should mention, it's not the same structure as the main events. It's a self-contained league. The playoffs start in week 15. And we were trying to lock up a bye. And that bye is huge because you get 5K prize and a bye. and we finished second overall last night here and just barely hold on to do so. And I should say our score was fine. We had 146, but we needed all of these other teams to lose. And I can't even remember what exactly they were, but I'll list off this team for you guys. This is the team we have heading into the 5K playoffs. Mahomes, Kenny Gainwell, Tootin, Puka, Christian Watson, Harold Fannin, Burden, Worthy. But it was Christian McCaffrey who was on bye, who's been huge for us. We have Tedoroya McMillan. But there's some things breaking right on this team. Mike Gesicki could be a bigger impact player if T. Higgins misses time. But yeah, love having this CMC Puka combo. And then Christian Watson, like waiver wire pickup of the year. Harold Fannin coming in huge. This was the team where we had Cam Scatabo as our running back too. You got to go back and read some of the comments on both Twitter and YouTube. When we drafted this team, people hated this team. They guaranteed everyone that we just torched 5K on fire. But that was not the case. In fact, we just won 5K here. And where's the full prizes? Yeah, so seed 2, 5K. And now we were going to complete in the league playoffs here. First place, 25K. Second place, 14K. Third, 5K. So we are in really good shape there. And excited to make a run in this 5K big playback. All right. That's the little rundown for ship chasing here. Let's head over and check out some of the Guillotine. We don't have Monday Night Football to get to today, so that'll save us a little bit of time. We can do, after Guillotine League, we can do a first look, and then I'm going to have the Swolecast at noon Eastern today, and I'm going to actually probably need to squeeze something in before the Swolecast as well. But let's check in on the Guillotine Leagues, where we are getting down to the nitty-gritty. Let's first check in on the Deposit Kingdom League. My team has been chopped long ago. We know. Frankie, TTP, getting blizzy with it into money. And normally we look at this on Monday, so we actually have a chop sweat. But these are our final 4 here. Who got chopped? Who got chopped this past week here? Let's see. It was Kitchen's Tree. Kitchen's Tree in week 14 got sent packing. You hate to see it. And let's see what the top team looks like here. Frankie scored 134. All these teams start to look like juggernauts, obviously, when you get to this stage of the game. Although Frankie flying close to the sun, or I don't know if you just updated Rashee Rice and Kelsey in here, but those two have been pretty disappointing of late. But you have Prescott, Gibbs, Cook, Chase, Olave, and then some nice running back options down here, Henderson and Harvey. But good luck to Frankie and the rest of the Deposit Kingdom crew there. Let's check out ship chasing. I believe we lost Fully Loaded. Let's see here. Fully Loaded. Yes, week 14 Fully Loaded. Last week was when Pat got bounced. Pat had this incredible team, all of this fab stuff, and narrowly lost because I believe, what was it? He started Lamar Jackson over his boy Drake May, and now we're down to the final 3, JB Phil, Steph, the waiver queen, and Emo Cowboy. And JB Phil, I want to see what work he did on the waiver last week, because the big subplot was Pat's team had a ton of talent heading to the waiver. So I'm curious what JB Phil ended up with here. He has Hurts, Achane, Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, JSN, Warren, Bucky, JT, Jaden Daniels, Jacobs, Nico, Rashee Rice, Brock Bowers, and Kittle. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like the nuts right now, like, you definitely want Josh Allen at quarterback. I mean, as far as the quarterbacks who can truly separate, and then at tight end, you want Trey McBride. So who has the Allen and McBride? Because that's the one thing when you get to the end, you can stuff your lineup with highly projecting running backs and wide receivers, but there's only a couple of these guys at the onesies that can be true difference makers. Steph has Josh Allen, and I'm guessing that means Emo has Trey McBride. So Those will be interesting waiver selections when they become available there. Yeah, Emo has McBride and Wilson, which has been an absolute monster pairing there. So there is your final 3 for the ship chasing there. And I think JB Phil still has the waiver edge. So we'll see how he does. In my Hollywood Guillotine League, I am advancing. I did have Gibbs going this week, so that was a huge help. I need to get this refreshed so I can see my thing here. So my team in this one, I have the JT Gibbs, I have Bucky, I have Breece Hall. I did not know who to start at running back. I was waffling back and forth between Breece, Judkins, ETN, and Harvey. I ended up going with Breece, which didn't work out, but I still survived. But this team is looking decent. I need to get a really high-end wide receiver too. Like I have JSN, but Devontae Smith and Zay Flowers are my only 2 other wide receivers. So I'll have to see what wide receivers are now available here. CMC is available, but I'm more loaded at running back than I am wide receiver. So yeah, I'll be going for Nico and Adams are there. But yeah, Puka would be the real gem to land on one of these teams, but we will keep fighting here in the streets. I want to check out the waiver stuff. So I have 31. There's one team that has 44. So I can do some damage here still on the waiver wire this week and going forward. A Riddle says it was brutal needing Hurts last night. Never seen an interception and a fumble on the same play. I did see the highlight of that this morning. Yeah, I mean, it also just made me think it's such a bummer that we might legitimately not get the Cowboys and the Lions in the playoffs and have to watch, this Eagles offense, which has just been pretty boring. I guess you can say the same thing for a lot of teams this year, the way the playoffs are shaking out, which is just going to make it so fun for playoff best ball because it's one of the most wide open years you can imagine. A lot of the players we're going to be deciding on in these playoff best ball drafts just do not feel good to click. So yeah, I'm getting excited to dive into that angle here coming up. All right, let's do a quick first look here for week 15. Seems crazy to say that, week 15. One thing I'm a little tilted about, I'm very excited to go and play in this poker tournament in Vegas, but I am not going to be able to do underdog drafts for as long as I'm there. So that'll be a bit of a disappointment until I'm able to get back to an underdog friendly state. So let's do, we don't have, well, I'm sure we do have the playbooks. Do we have the playbooks? But you know what? Actually, I got to keep the bit going. I do have to keep the bit going. If we have, wait, here's the Sunday main slate playbook. We can do a playbook and a BR, but I need to keep the streak going of doing a playbook draft every week to start the week here. 2 more for a playbook. We'll get our first look here at the week 15 slate. Obviously, no bye weeks. The bye weeks are over, so we're going to have loaded slates here. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Hurts, May, Burrow, Stafford, Dart, Mahomes, Brock, Goff. This is going to be a fun week at quarterback. Hilarious to see Trevor Lawrence and Shadur Sanders have the same bye week. I mean, this is how good of a week it is for Scrolls. Like CJ Stroud home versus Arizona. That's gonna be pretty nice there. Especially because their running game can't really get going. So that looks like a nice scroll. Even like a guy like Bryce Young at New Orleans, he could cook there. Sam Darnold home versus Indy is not a bad spot. I mean, Jacoby Brissett is like an afterthought, and this guy just throws or puts up 20 points every single given week. So quarterback's loaded. Tight end, obviously loaded. McBride, Kittle, Bowers. Look at that. Harold fucking Fannin, tight end 4 on the week. You love to see it. Kincaid, Kelsey, likely. Pretty top-heavy at tight end just because McBride, Kittle, and Bowers can separate in a big way. Wide receiver, JSN, Puka, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra, Nico, Rice, Adams, A.J. Brown, J-Mo. So those guys in the top 20 there, some heavy hitters. Running back maybe a little less loaded, but still pretty deep. CMC, Gibbs, Henry, Taylor, Cook, Barkley, Hendo, ETN, Jacobs, Chase Brown. Judkins down here at ADP 35, Genty 35.5, Harvey 35.6 versus Green Bay, Hampton 35.7. So yeah, some of these guys, people not loving the matchups for Judkins, Genty, Harvey, Swift. So those are always fun. Breece Hall way down here. Geez, Breece Hall ADP of 35.8. I promise you the projections will like Breece Hall more than that. Are you playing poker as the mans? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Who knows? Maybe I make a last minute decision to do so. I'm playing the WPT Prime here, championship. I think there are going to have some, maybe I should go as mans and I'd have a better chance of getting on their featured TV table. But yeah, so it's a $1,100 buy-in, $5 million guaranteed here. And the flights have already started. Actually, I'm on the clock here. What do I want to do? I'm fine taking Josh Allen as one of these picks. And then Derrick Henry's just been so disappointing to me. What about Barkley versus Las Vegas? I mean, Barkley had 20 for 122 last night. Las Vegas sucks. Amon-Ra is fine, but yeah, let's just grab Barkley here. I wanted to look at the structure here. So you get 100, 200 to start. And because the tournament is already ongoing, the flight started yesterday. I'm playing the final flight that starts tomorrow. So there's already some guys with some pretty big ship counts here. They technically booked me, but who knows? Maybe I'll just have to throw the man stuff in the bag and see what happens, huh? So there you go. Would you guys want some updates on Twitter? Can do some chip count updates or whatever. All right, let's see what else we're going to do here. I guess what I did just learn on the clock there is even though it is a deep slate, that to me, it does feel like there's a tier break after Allen. Gibbs, McCaffrey, JSN, Puka, Chase, Allen. And then it's like, okay, Barkley, Henry, Amon-Ra, Taylor in a bad matchup. I guess Nico probably deserves to be up here. All right, I'll definitely do some updates for you guys. This might be the first week. I guess it depends when I come back. Might be the first week I don't get 150 BRs in, which might be a good thing for my bankroll. We're definitely going to take one of these tight ends here. Kittle versus Tennessee is a smash. Brock Bowers, I could do Oppo, Barkley. Probably not going to do A.J. Brown on a Barkley team. That's kind of a fun suggestion. Travion is the Bills bring back. Sure, why not? I don't think the projections are going to like him this much, but we're having fun and we're correlating. Let's do George Kittle. I could have done Bowers opposite Barkley, but I trust George Kittle, I think, at home versus Tennessee more than I do Bowers on the road at Philly. Could just be a meltdown spot for our boy Geno Smith. This is a good call from A. Riddle. ARS being a 55-point total. And I briefly looked at the totals earlier, but I should do a quick refresher right now. Let's see. What are we looking at here? So our Thursday game is Falcons-Bucks. That's off the main slate. Chargers-Chiefs, 42.5 total. Geez. Baltimore-Cincy, 52. Bills-Patriots, 49.5. Commanders-Giants, 47.5. I know those defenses aren't good, but that feels a little high to me. Jets-Jags, 41.5. Raiders-Eagles is only 38.5. That is disgusting. Browns, Bears, 40.5. Cardinals, Texans, 41.5. To me, this would be a sneaky a sneaky over spot. I think the Texans can score points here, and then the Cardinals always play aggressive from behind. So I kind of like that angle. And then here you go. Lions-Rams, a 55-point total. All right. You're right. That's the banger. That's the banger right there. Packers-Broncos, 43. Panthers-Saints, 40.5. I kind of like the over in that as well. Two poor defenses, and I think those offenses can get going a little bit. Colts-Seahawks feels fine at 43. Titans 49ers 44.5. Then we got the Sunday night game. Vikings Cowboys are off the main slate, and then Miami Pittsburgh. How did Miami and Pittsburgh end up as our Monday night football game? Jeez. Yeah, total on Bills Pats is very high. That one I kind of lean under 49.5. I just feel like that divisional game, the defenses are still solid. All right, we're back on the clock. Look, I'm not going to make the same mistake here. I passed on Amon-Ra St. Brown in that game. I'm not going to pass on JMO. We're going to take JMO, and then our final pick, our final wide receiver here. What's the latest on is Marvin Harrison going to play? Because if not, I think you just have to keep clicking Michael Wilson. I think you just absolutely have to keep clicking him. I mean, this guy is unreal. I guess it could look bad if he doesn't, but whatever. Let's do it. Actually, change of heart at the last second. I changed my mind. I said, I have too good of a min cash record in the playbook. I need to get Tedaroya McMillan on this team. He's going to project way better than Michael Wilson if Marvin Harrison plays. So there it is. All right, we're going to do one more. We're going to do a BR draft here now that we got the lay of the land. And then I'm going to get ready for the Swolecast here at noon Eastern. Oh, yeah, man. Now I completely forgot, too. That's going to be the final Week 15 pod hammer. Miami versus Pittsburgh. Devon Achane. Burying our teams for better or for worse. Coach Roush pushing back on me, saying Bills D ain't solid. They gave up 34 and got 2 lucky interceptions. Would have given up 40. I think the counter would be, the snow game played better to the offenses, I think. And also, I don't know, like the Pats offense, I guess it can get explosives, but I think the way that the Bengals play they're always going to get their points when Burrow's playing. So I don't know. I just think those divisional matchups can often go both ways. And that total seems just a little frothy for me. Oh, I did forget about this. A Jonnu revenge game. There you go. There you go. All right, we have the 6-7 again. I couldn't even get a different draft slot. This time. Wow, Pat Moore. Yeah, you sent me a screenshot. Remind me what you won again here. You got 5th place in the pylon on DK. Congratulations, man. Pops was in town and wasn't at my station all weekend. There you go. Easy game. That's what you need. You just need your Pops in town for the run good. Josh Allen again. It feels like a mistake to fade him. Let's do Josh Allen, Amon-Ra this time. Last time we pulled up Barkley. We'll do Josh Allen. Yeah, that's a good point. New England coming off the bye. I think I'm perpetually frustrated with both the Bills and Patriots offenses. And I know that sounds crazy because they're, two of the best teams, but you just see their quarterbacks and how good they are and how little talent they're surrounded by in the passing game specifically. And you just want them to generate explosives at a much higher rate. I think is my frustration there. I'm just being like, I wish you had like one legit downfield playmaker, even like a guy of like a Devontae Smith caliber. You drop a guy like him into either of those offenses, obviously a T Higgins type, something like that. And I think I have high hopes for those teams, and I'm very depressed about the current state of their wide receiver rooms. Yeah, we just did a whole FFPC segment a little bit ago, Yosh, and we talked all about the Dicker Sweat. Pete, did you check your BBM portfolio round 2 dashboard? Pretty cool analyses. No, I have not. I need to check that out. All right, last draft we did Kittle. We'll see if CJD lets me get Bowers. If not, we can improvise. Okay, he takes JMO. So let's do Bowers there. Both of the Rams guys are already off the board, so there's not a ton for me to do there. I guess we could like later get Kyron, but man, the Kyron stuff just doesn't feel too fun with how well Corum is playing. Let's do AJ Brown on this one. We did Barkley the last one. We'll do AJ Brown. So we got Allen, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, and Brock Bowers. Grab Justin Fields and swap. Stay on the clock. If you say the Bills need a real wide receiver, their GM will get mad. Man, that was one of the funniest subplots of the weekend. I really wanted, I wish it was Shope who was on the air when the GM called in to light into all of them. I think you guys are going to get the rare late coffee pour. We need lots of coffee to get through today. Yeah, I would say as kind of like a summary for this regular season, feel pretty good. Like the BBM portfolio, obviously very diversified from having drafted with lots of different people, but advancing 30 teams always feels nice to be above advance rate. Was fun to have that big eliminator sweat there. Wish I had one like Yosh there in the main eliminator, but enjoyed that a ton. Didn't get as much volume in this year. I basically had my no slow draft rule until I decided I wanted to max the eliminator. So yeah, my volume's always going to be a little bit lower. Ended up being an awesome year for the ship chasing high stakes teams, just having those 4 teams all get a first place, and I guess the 5K was the second place, but yeah, so it should be a pretty profitable year. And then you just got to hope that you run like the sun in these playoffs. And my dream is always to get one of those streamed draft teams to the finals, and we'll see if we can do that here this year. All right, we have Josh Allen, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, Brock Bowers. So we got to decide what we want to do here at running back. This is funny because now we're in that stretch here where you do have some guys with really solid projectable volume, but just matchups that aren't super attractive. What about Woody Marks versus Arizona? Wow, I was at that game and I did not realize that Woody Marks had 26 attempts. There might be some reasons I didn't realize that. I wasn't maybe paying as close of attention as I thought I was, but yeah, Woody Marks versus Arizona should be a nice spot there. And who else do we like here? We could do Genty coming back opposite AJ Brown, but like I said, that feels like kind of a meltdown spot. Honestly, what about Harvey at home versus Green Bay? I mean, they have really turned over the keys to him. 17 attempts and 6 receptions. The week before that, 13 attempts and 3 receptions. I kind of like that, and I do think you can establish it against Green Bay. We've seen teams, the Rico Dowdle explosion week was against that Green Bay defense. So at home with Denver, let's cook here with the rookies. So we go Josh Allen, Woody Marks, RJ Harvey, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, Brock Bowers. I know Chubb got hurt. I really don't remember Woody Marks carrying the ball over 20 times. I just memory hold that. Oh my God, Josh, this is how we end the show. If we are reading the signs, the Dylan Sampson incident isn't Woody the skeleton key this week. I think that's the note we have to go out on, folks. Appreciate all of you guys tuning in. I know it was a little different schedule than normal. I was down bad and in no state to do a portfolio review even yesterday afternoon. But we are back in the saddle for today. Like I said, I'm going to have the Swolecast as far as schedule stuff. And then no shows like usual on Wednesday. Thursday is the day that's kind of up in the air. If I am out of the tournament Wednesday and still in Vegas, I will try to do a couple shows from the hotel. But I don't even think I'd be able to do the bash because I would not be able to enter a draft. We could do a reverse bash if people want to come on and enter into the tournament for me. I will actually Venmo. How about that? Should we try that? If I am able to do so, we could do a bash. I will still foot the bill, but I will need people to screen share the Underdog draft because I will not be there to be able to put it on my account, or Vegas will not let me do that. So yeah, not sure about Lulz. Probably won't have the fantasy live stream because that involves me doing it. And then regardless for Friday, I'll either be back home because I might move up my flight if I'm busto, or I will do the shows with Off and On the Clock and Block Party Bully the Sims. I'll do that remote from Vegas. So touch and go on the shows. I'll keep you guys posted on Twitter. I'll give you guys some updates as well on how the tournament goes. But yeah, going to be a bit of a fluid week here on the content side. It seems like people are down to try to run the reverse bash. So if I'm not playing poker during the normal time, we'll do that. Otherwise, I think the plan will be I could do another like after dark on Saturday where we do it kind of bash style or whatever. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Just not the usual locked and loaded schedule like we normally have. And yeah, I think that's it. Congrats to all of the winners. Congrats to all of your teams that advanced to the best ball playoffs. It is a beautiful time of the year. Thanks again to all of our Memby gifters here, David and Bindles and Josta and Ingle X. I think I missed the Ingle X earlier. Ingle X finished second in the Dawg Bowl. Was awesome meeting him. Congratulations, dude. You deserve all that success. And shout out to our super chatters as well. Yosh and B-Zigs and Pat Moore. Appreciate all of you guys and getting me through this stream after all of my travel and binge weekend. So you guys are the best. And we'll see you over on the Swolecast here in 13 minutes. Peace.